dog. So downward facing dog, you are an inverted V. Inverted V. Push into all of your fingers. One of the biggest complaints I get from down dog is it hurts my wrist. Well, if you're focusing most of your weight on your palm like this, on the outside edge of your palm, it's going to hurt. So make sure you're shifting just as much weight into your fingertips as you are into your palm. Now check in with your feet. What are they doing? Some of us can't reach the heels to the mat. That's okay. So if you feel like you need a little bit more lengthening through the backs of the legs, I want you to bend your knees. Shift the chest to the thighs first, and then get your heels a little bit closer to the mat. They never have to touch, but that's the movement we want with the tailbone. Breathe in, hips high. Breathe out, soften. Again, breathe in, hips high. Exhale, knees to chest and soften. One more time, breathe in and up. Knees to chest, exhale, soften. Beautiful. Let your head hang heavy. Shoulders away from your ears. Sun salutations, Surya Namaskar. This is the way we warm up the spine. So if you're in a traditional yoga class, you'll take maybe 3 to 6 rounds of the sun salutation A. Flexion and extension mixed with breath. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, let's take a little stroll to the top of our mats. Halfway lift. Hands can be at the floor or at your shins. Belly is in, and your spine is super straight here. So do not be discouraged if your flexibility does not allow you to touch the earth. You could even touch your thighs, just not your knees. So shins, most people can touch their shins. If you can't, you can always bend your knees here. Take a breath in, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Knees can be bent. Let's come all the way up, slow and steady. When you get to the top, take your arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your side body. This is Sun A. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, lead with your heart, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant your hands, walk it back. On your toes or on your knees. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, bend your elbows, chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra as we roll through the pose. Roll back through the pose, downward facing dog. We'll take 5 breaths here. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk. Maybe you float to the top of your mat. Half lift, fold. Come all the way up. Hands to your heart. Arms at side body. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Plant your hands, let's walk or float it back, high to low. Upward facing dog, roll over the toes. Downward facing dog. 3 breaths. And the backs of your legs will start to open. You'll feel it in the hamstrings, the backs of the knees, in the calves. Pedal out your dog if you need a little bit of activation in your rest. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, let's take a light float to the top of your mat. And we'll sink it real low in chair pose. Utkatasana. Knees bent. Bend them a little bit more than usual. If you have low back issues, separate your feet about hip width distance. And your hands can go wherever they feel most comfortable to you. So we do not want to sacrifice the length of the spine for getting our hands up here. If it's too much and we start to slouch, we're not doing any good in the posture, right? So hands at your heart. Take 3 deep breaths here in chair pose. Look up. Your ears and your biceps are in one line, unless they're at your heart. Beautiful. Stand all the way up. Hands to heart. Step your left foot back. It's one of our grounding postures. It's called Warrior One. Your right foot is in front. It's bent. You have an external rotation in your front leg. Equal amount of weight in both feet. Take your arms up high. Biceps by your ears, belly in.
Trying to rotate our pelvis to the front of the house is probably our biggest concern in this pose. We want to make sure that our hips are square to the front of the room. Breathe in. On your exhale, take your hands to your heart. Let's walk the back foot up to meet the right. Back to chair pose. Inhale, chair. Hands to your heart. Step the right foot back. So now your left foot is up front. The left knee's bent. Inhale, arms up. Virabhadrasana 1. This is warrior 1. And you think of this pose as kind of fierce, but it's also very grounded because your feet are so rooted. If I could pick up your mat, your feet are pushing so hard into the earth it could snap in half if it was lifted. Again, pull this right hip point forward, left hip point back. Our hips are square, bellies are in, arms up. Hands to heart, step the back foot up. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, hands to heart. All right. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Plant your hands, let's walk it back. High to low push-up. Roll over the toes for Urdhva Mukha, upward facing dog. Roll back over Adho Mukha. Right leg reaches to the sky, take a big breath in. From here, step your right foot in between the hands. So, sometimes when we go from this pose to this pose, we stop about right here. That's okay. So if you are that person who's stopping mid-mat, take your foot, help it get to the top of the mat. That's okay. Drop your back knee, top of the foot down. You are in a modified crescent lunge. Pose in Sanskrit is called Anjaneyasana. And you're getting into the hip flexor, the psoas. You're lifting from the middle of the back up for a heart opener. Your hands, you choose, they could be here, they could be up. And you find that in these less intense poses, the more you hold them, the more challenging they become. Thus, we are all beginners, right? Some people come to yoga and they leave and they're like, I didn't know that was going to be a workout. You miss the physical with the mental, and you find so much strength that you didn't even know you had. Take both your hands to frame your front foot. We're shifting the hip back, straightening out through the right leg. So this is a half split. If you have a full split and you're ready to rock it out, you're more than welcome to fall into your full split. This is softer and easier on the joints. So you can always sit your hips back. Your hips can also stay lifted. It's dependent upon you. Be your own teacher. Take a couple more breaths here in half split. This is Ardha Hanumasana. The right foot is flexed. Look forward. And we'll walk both hands to frame our right foot. Now we hop on to the left toes for runner's stretch. So we're pretty associated with this pose. It's one of the most universal stretches that almost every athlete, sporting person uses. I'm not going to say that it's venturing like beyond the scope of yoga, but it is so mainstream that we almost forget where the energy is coming from. So we want to make sure we're lifted with that left kneecap. What's that doing to your left quad? Just notice. And from here you can turn the toes out to about 2 o'clock and rotate to the outside edge of the right foot. And you're going to feel it all along the side of the right hamstring, the right hip flexor, the IT band, all those places that never see light. We'll put the foot back on the earth, drop the knee, and this right hand comes to the outside edge, and we'll shimmy, shimmy, shimmy that right foot to the left hand. We're in half pigeon. Another grounding posture. Breathe in, lengthen. Look up, puff up your chest. And then on your exhale, we start to fold forward. So pigeon is another one of those poses that it does not come easy. It does not come easy. Where's my blocks? So if you have a block, stay where you are. If you have a block, you can always put a block up under your hip that's being rotated. And it doesn't have to be a block if you don't have one. It could be a stack of books. It could be a rolled up towel. And you just put it up here to get some extra support. We're making the ground closer to our bodies. So this is half pigeon. Remove your block if you took it. And we'll put our forearms on the earth. If you flatten out like a pancake, take your head down, your chest down. We'll take 3 breaths here. If you lost track of your breath, it starts in the belly, moves all the way up to the chest, and then like a wave, it falls back down, following that beautiful length and depth of breath. We'll meet at the base of the belly. Again, breathe in and breathe out. On your inhale, lift up. Let's take both hands to the mat underneath your shoulders. So we're looking for that straight line of energy. Curl under your left toes. Fire up the left quad and the left glute. You feel it? Push into the earth with your palms. Lift your right knee to your chest and then extend it all the way back. All right, it's here we can open up through the right hip and start to rotate. Beautiful. And move the outside direction so the leg, the knee moves out and then in. Nice. And take it all the way up. And step it down. We'll move right into the left side. Inhale, left leg up. Step it all the way through. Again, use the help of your hand to get it there. And once you're here, drop the knee, top of the foot down. Inhale, arms up, Anjaneyasana. This is modified crescent lunge. Hands can be up high, hands can also be at your knee. Breath is fluid. As fluid as it can be. Beautiful. We'll take both hands on either side of the left foot. Shift the weight of your hips back. Half split. Again, you can stay high or you can drop low. You can even take that pillow or block or blanket and put it under your left glute. Beautiful. Take a couple more breaths here. Make sure you're aware of what's happening on the inhale. So every inhale we lengthen, every exhale we fold. So it's that flexion extension of the spine from your warm-up, and it kind of is carried through your whole practice. If you think of it in terms of what the body is doing on the inhale, the body is always going to lift on the inhale. The body's mostly always going to fold on the exhale. And it's still doing that here, but it's very, very subtle. Breathe in. Soften. Breathe in. And sink. Take a couple more breaths here. And then frame your left foot. We'll rock all the way up. This time, curl under your right toes. Fire up the right quad, the glute, the lower abdominals. Pull up through your bathroom muscles. Ladies. And again, we'll turn the left toes to about 11 o'clock. And then unfold the foot like you're opening up a book. Lean in here. And breathe. Shoulders away from your ears. Beautiful. Let's frame the foot. So left hand outside of your left foot. And we'll start to wiggle, 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 wiggle until we get to half pigeon. So if you needed a block on the right, I invite you to do it on the left, under your glute. If you don't need a block, don't use one. But just know that it's always available to use modifications, to use props, to use furniture, to use anything that you might need to make the practice fit you. Breathe in, puff up your chest. And on your exhale, we move into that half pigeon pose. And if your shape doesn't look like my shape, just know that the shapes don't really matter. The shape is just a way, a tool to get us to the present moment. So if you're taking some sort of variation of Kapotasana, pigeon pose, and you're breathing in it. If you have breath and if you have body, then you have yoga. So just know that a shape is a shape. It is all within, it is all your breath. All right, to get out of this posture, take your hands, spread them really wide, put them on your floor, put them on your mat, underneath your shoulders. Curl under the right toes, fire up the quad, fire up the glute, lift the kneecap, pull the left knee into the chest, send it all the way up. Bend the knee, open the hip, and take some big circles here. Switch directions. And then we'll take both feet down, downward facing dog. Take 3 deep breaths here in downward facing dog. Make sure you're releasing the weight of your head from your neck. That's been something that's been real hard for me lately. I'm coming to my mat, my head just wants to stay lifted because I'm so tense. Let it go. Let it be. Let it out. And you might find that at the beginning of class, your heels could not touch the earth. And now maybe they're a little bit lower. Maybe they're even making contact. All right, well look up, step the left foot forward and come all the way up to standing. All right, you might move a little bit slower. That's okay. Your feet are gently turned out just a little bit and your feet are pretty wide. They're pretty wide. All right, inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, take your hands to your heart. Breathe in, lengthen through your spine. On your exhale, we're squatting the hips. So we're leaning with our hip bones. Our hips are back. Our knees are back, our belly is in, and our ribs are knitted, and everything's tight and contracted. And this is your abdominals, this is your core. And in yoga, we like to think of core as more than just abdominal muscles. It's what you stand for. It's what you do when things get hard, right? It's the reactions that you're experiencing in your 2x6. And as we experience reactions, lots of things bubble up. Can we move them up and out? If they do not serve us, can we let them go? And just study the walls of your reactions. Study what you do when your brain tells you it's time to run. And when we hold, our heart, it starts to pump, right? Mine's starting to pump right now. Your muscles, they get kind of fatigued. Your body starts telling you, you have ventured into the not so safe zone. So we have to evoke the parasympathetic nervous system with the breath. This is where the practice happens. The moment you want to leave the pose, that's where your practice happens. Hand to belly, one hand to heart. Big breath in through the nose, belly, ribs, chest. Open up your mouth. Sink it lower. Inhale through the nose, filling up your belly like there's a balloon in there. Everything lifts and opens. On your exhale, sink your hips down. One more time, breathe in. Breathe out. Nice, inhale, straighten your legs, arms up. Turn your toes towards me. And on your exhale, we fold forward for Prasarita Padottanasana. This is a wide leg forward fold. Your peace fingers, your pointer and your middle finger. Catch your big toes. Inhale, lengthen. And your knees can be bent here. Exhale, fold. Release your neck. Remember that soft, subtle flexion and extension of the spine coupled with the breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Again, breathe in. Exhale, soften. Last two. Gorgeous. Let's take our hands to our hips. And we'll slowly roll up as slowly as we can. We'll hop to the top of our mat. Take your hands to your hips. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. Thank you for joining me today. That was the first episode of our beginner's journey through yoga. On our next episode, we will be exploring Ashtanga in short form. So if you've never done that, it's a set series of poses. And they are like the most traditional sequence of poses that you'll ever find. And we do this so we can learn about alignment, we can learn about placement of hands and feet in a triangle or in a revolved triangle, all the way through